Lindsay, any message for the boys? Have you been able to see your kids? How you been holding up? Lindsay, are you guys still in love? Any reaction to Robert and Savannah?
Savannah Chrisley is a famous reality TV star. She has 2.9 million Instagram followers. She probably has all of her notifications turned on for at least one man like I do, and his name is Matt Johnson of Court TV. Yesterday was Friday, December 8th. It was a big day for Savannah's boyfriend's estranged wife, Lindsay Shiver. And Matt with Court TV said he could see Savannah Chrisley watching his Instagram stories and reels about Lindsay's court case in the Bahamas. So even though Savannah with her nearly 3 million Instagram followers does not follow Matt on Instagram, she was checking out his stories and seeing all the updates, learning what's happening with the case of Lindsay Shiver, who is accused of plotting with two other co-conspirators, Terrence Adrian Bethel and Farron Newbold Jr., of plotting to do away with Robert Shiver, who's Lindsay's husband. Technically, they're still married, even though they filed for divorce earlier this year. So Court TV is not only reporting on Lindsay Shiver, they're also reporting on Savannah Chrisley too, and the fact that Savannah said she would never date an actively married man. But Matt even asked Lindsay questions about Savannah, along with all the other questions we want to know. When Lindsay was walking out, Matt asked her any reaction to Robert and Savannah. Well, Lindsay just kind of cut a quick glance over, maybe to her lawyer. Maybe she just wanted to see where she was going or where she had been, or didn't want to stumble. But Court TV even did a slow-mo to try and determine her body language and her reaction.
Here's that interaction. Any reaction to Robert and Savannah?
Methinks Lindsay can't be happy about Robert moving on with his life with a younger woman who might end up being Savannah Shiver someday. Who knows? But folks online did have a lot to say about what Lindsay wore to court, her actions in court that we heard about. Lindsay wore a jumpsuit. It looked white or tan, really light colored, the color of supposed innocence, like an innocent bride making her way to court. Some people even talked about how low cut it was. It wasn't that low cut. I don't know. I get it. I don't really like low cut stuff either, but sometimes it just kind of happens. People have even mentioned things I don't really like to talk about, lest they sound insulting. People talked about, oh, looks like Lindsay has been gaining weight. Maybe all she has to do is just sit there, kind of being not sequestered, not on quarantine, but just house arrest, locked away, watching Netflix, maybe they presume, and she's just eating, maybe eating her feelings. She doesn't look like she's gained that much weight. You know, many of us, our weight has gone up and down, so it is what it is.
Last week, and she asked for a change in her bail, change of address, and that was granted. So now that's what she's hoping for, is another change come next week on the 13th, when she's supposed to be back in this courthouse, and asking to be able to travel to the United States. But what we do know...
She's 37. She's a mother of 3. There's been a lot of news about this case recently. She appeared again in court on Friday, and in these recent court appearances, we've learned more from her husband, Robert Shiver, where he talked about Lindsay messing around previously, allegedly last year, with an 18-year-old. And then, after promising to work on their marriage and keep it together, Lindsay allegedly started messing around with 28-year-old Terrence Adrian Bethel earlier this year, according to Robert's statement. And sort of in the middle is 29-year-old Farron Newbold Jr., who allegedly was the hitman. I mean, he's the guy, according to the Daily Mail, where cops examined Lindsay's iPhone and they saw that she reportedly sent Farron photos of Robert with the words, "kill him." If that's true, if that evidence has been presented, it could be pretty damning. And yes, for those of you who commented who didn't know who Savannah was, thank you, and I'm sorry I didn't clarify. She grew to fame as one of the children of Todd and Julie Chrisley. On the show Chrisley Knows Best, there's been spin-offs. Again, I didn't watch all these, but I knew who she was. And she's a young person. She's only 26 years old. She's taken on a lot of responsibility. Previously, I called them her younger siblings. Technically, she's taking care of her younger brother and her 10-year-old niece. Those technically are like the kids she has custody of, basically. But Matt Johnson down there on scene in the Bahamas giving us all the lowdown, everything we want to know. He's a go-getter. He was out there filming Lindsay with his crew, asking all the questions we wanted to know. When Lindsay came out, he's asking, Lindsay, are you guys still in love? There's reasons why he was asking that, because Matt noticed a difference in the way Lindsay and Terrence were relating to each other now in December as opposed to in July when they acted like giggly in love teenagers in court. Matt also asked Lindsay, how are you holding up? Do you have any message for the boys? He asked her, have you been able to see your kids? Now, it was hard to tell if she answered anything. During certain video clips, it looks like Lindsay just kind of looks down and doesn't say anything. But Matt said that Lindsay looked down and said, it's been tough, it's been hard.
Lindsay, any message for the boys? Have you been able to see your kids? How you been holding up?
I was wondering why she didn't take the opportunity to just tell her boys, I love you boys. But I am quite certain Lindsay's attorney has told her, don't say a word to the press. Don't say anything. You don't want to screw up this case even more at all. But Matt noticed that Lindsay did not have on any handcuffs walking in, even though she kind of had her hands together as if she were cuffed. I guess she didn't know what to do with her hands. She would later tell her attorney she was nervous. But Matt noticed she was wearing those gold Cartier love bracelets like she had on before. I wonder if it's the same one that she wore in Fox Hill Prison. I always wonder if it's the one that did Robert give her those? Those were the ones with a special key and they couldn't get them off. And I'm wondering, does she even have the key or is she just wearing them? And obviously that's part of the jewelry that was not stolen, like the break-in that happened as she claimed the place where she was staying. That's why she put in for a change of address. I assume she got that change of address in the Bahamas, but now Lindsay is going for an even larger change of address. She wants to come back to the United States. We'll find out, hopefully by Wednesday, December 13th, if that will happen. I'm doubting it. I'm doubting that will happen. At one point, as Lindsay was being filmed going into the courthouse, it sounds like someone said something about Christmas.
Here is Christmas.
And they were likely asking her, are you going to see your boys for Christmas? We know the Thanksgiving Day plans fell through. We learned that and discussed that in the previous video when we went over all of True Crime Mama's stuff. All this news that was later corroborated by Savannah Chrisley herself. And once again, thanks to you guys for commenting, for noticing things I might not have picked up on. Like when Savannah Chrisley in her latest podcast talked about she doesn't know what they're doing for Christmas. Indeed, you guys connected, it makes sense. Savannah has no idea about their Christmas plans because she has no idea where Lindsay might be. For example, on the odd chance or off chance that the Bahamian judge allows Lindsay to come back to the United States, trusts her not to be a flight risk, well, that likely would change any plans Robert and Savannah have for Christmas. Maybe Lindsay's parents would take the boys and act as a go-between or a conduit on a supervised visit between Lindsay and her sons on Christmas. Who knows? That seems kind of far-fetched because maybe the folks in the Bahamas don't want Lindsay to get away. They don't want to trust her to be able to come back unless her bail is really raised even more. I don't see them necessarily letting Lindsay out of the Bahamas. After all, she is a woman of means. Not only did she marry into a rich family, Robert Shiver, who gained his wealth from Flower Foods, from his dad, those positions, but also people don't always talk about Lindsay's wealth as well. I think she was no slouch her parents had money as well. If a person has access to money and means, it might be easier for Lindsay to just sneak away somewhere and never return to the Bahamas again. You know, look at all these other cases we've seen with kind of crazy women. Letitia Stout trying to escape right there in custody, trying to escape in Kansas, even though she claimed she wasn't.
She keeps threatening me.
Stop it.
Well, she keeps on threatening me. I have stopped it. She keeps on.
Well, she got out of the restraints.
She keeps on threatening me.
Put your arm down.
I will for you. She keeps
Put your arm down.
Put your arm down.
Well, she keeps threatening me the whole time.
Tisha, give me your arm.
I will to you, but not to her.
Tisha, give me your arm.
I will to you, but not to her.
Cooperate with me.
Now.
Cooperate with me.
I will with you, but not with her.
Cooperate with me.
I will with you, not with her.
Tisha?
I will with you. I said I would with you.
Then give me your arm now!
Well, I said I would with you. I said I would with you. I said I would with you.
Stop resisting.
I'm not resisting. I said I would with her. Or the other girl
They're
not to
double
touch
locked.
me.
Go ahead. I got her on.
I have this arm
Tisha,
behind her.
stop
I'm not resisting. I'm
Yes,
not
you are.
resisting.
Stop it. Put him behind her back.
Yep.
Tisha, stop it.
I'm not even doing anything.
You just got another charge.
Well, she shouldn't be doing me like this.
Turn.
I'm not trying to turn.
She can stay that way the rest of the trip.
This is what we're going to do. We're going to the nearest detention facility.
Ow.
And they're going to provide an escort.
Ow. Could you please untighten it from my hands?
Not right now, Tisha.
Yes, it's on my arms.
Lean forward. Lean forward so I can adjust it. Stop manipulating
I'm
the
not
cuff.
manipulating you.
Or look at Caitlin Armstrong and that crazy video of her in the striped pants. It's almost like a Benny Hill routine, you know, running around. You can hear the music, the cop falling, and Caitlin trying to scale a wall. You know, it's just funny when you see it. Look at these cases of women desperate enough to plan and attempt to escape. And of course, it's not only women. A lot of men have escaped custody as well. But let's talk about what went on inside the courtroom in the Bahamas, especially since there's no cameras in there. Boo. So Matt did say there was a little bit of glancing and whispering between Lindsay and her boyfriend Terrence, but even though Farron sat between them, but it was nothing like what he witnessed back in July. Now the Daily Mail really painted the picture for us and how stern this judge was with that trio. I'm going to read it verbatim. You, Lindsay Shiver, Terrence Bethel, and Farron Newbold on Sunday, 16th of July 2023 in Abaco, being concerned together, conspired to kill Robert Shiver. How do you plead? That's what the court clerk, Andy Saunders, asked the trio in a firm voice. While Lindsay may have been wearing white, Like a bride, her co-conspirators were wearing black suits. But despite all the black and white contrasting outfits, all three of them pleaded not guilty. And we might see a trial start as early as March 4th, 2024, a 5-day trial, even though experts are saying, yeah, that date might not stick. You know, it can get delayed, stuff can take years. Maybe they're really on top of this one because they just want this to be over with. The eyes of America are looking at this woman, this trio. So maybe the pressure is causing them to really light a fire under each other for this case. Either way, it sounds like Judge Cheryl Grant Thompson was not playing. According to the Daily Mail, the three of them, Lindsay and her co-conspirators, were busy writing down the dates of the trial while their lawyer was addressing the court in the arraignment. That's when the judge snapped at them. "You need to pay attention," she said. "They are not charged with anything. You are." So it sounds like this judge is not going to play. Is this going to be a bench trial or a jury trial? I think I've seen jury trials somewhere, but I've got to make sure. And we've got different dates reported for Lindsay's next hearing. Now, according to WTXL, they're claiming that Lindsay's next pretrial appearance isn't until January 31st, 2024. But WDHN is reporting that Lindsay will be right back in court on Wednesday, December 13th. I tend to believe that because I believe I heard Court TV report the same thing. That's because Lindsay wants the conditions of her $100,000 bail changed. She wants to be free. She's had enough of the Bahamas. I'm assuming she's had enough of her Bahamian boyfriend by now. She wants to get out of there and go back to the States. I couldn't find one, but I wish there was a Bahamian court website that we could just look up and verify these court dates. I wish I could put in FOIAs or public information requests for Lindsay's phone calls and the co-conspirators' phone calls. I guess we're kind of spoiled in the US that we get access to certain things more than in other locations. As for today, all three of them are ordered to stay in the Bahamas. They have court-ordered curfews and they've got their ankle monitors, so they have certain conditions they have to adhere to. According to Matt, Lindsay was talking with her lawyer. I think Matt was sitting really closely right behind them. He could see Lindsay making like the nervous handshaking gestures, telling her lawyer, "I'm nervous." Her lawyer said, "Look, the only thing you have to remember today is to say 2 words. Not guilty." So I guess Lindsay figured out enough how to say that, and that was it. Matt reported that Lindsay has the right to see her kids, but he reported she hasn't seen them yet in the Bahamas. I guess he was asking her, "Have you seen your kids?" because maybe he wanted to know, do you guys FaceTime? Have you seen pictures? Do you talk on the phone? But of course, Lindsay wasn't getting into details about that. Matt did say Lindsay was joking in court with her co-defenders a little bit and her attorney, but Matt was paying close attention and Lindsay for some reason was sitting next to Farron. I don't know if they made them sit that way, but maybe they knew it was just a bad look what happened in July. Back then, Matt reported that Lindsay was still in handcuffs. She was trying to get released from Fox Hill Prison, and she was sitting right next to her boyfriend, Terrence, and they were kind of rubbing against each other, acting like high schoolers in love. He called it really inappropriate for court, and I'm sure her lawyer probably saw the reports that made it out. Even though there's no cameras in court, of course there are eyewitnesses in there that bring us the news the best way they can, and so seeing that in print, for Lindsay and her co-conspirators to be charged with something so serious like a murder for hire plot, but to get to court, yeah, I'm sure she was happy to see her boyfriend, but it just blows a person's mind to think of them giggling and laughing and touching each other in court. Maybe her attorney had some hand in putting Farron next to Lindsay as opposed to Terrence. The court of public opinion does matter. Nothing that goes on outside is supposed to feed into what happens in the courtroom. It's supposed to be all about evidence. If there is a jury, they're not supposed to come in there in court with all these preconceived notions and prejudices, but we're all human. It's not like Men in Black. Let me erase everything you knew about this case. No, people still come in there and they observe the co-defendants, and it would be pretty bad for a jury to observe Lindsay giggling and laughing and winking or looking at her boyfriend. Matt did remind us all that there is a no contact order. Lindsay is not even supposed to be speaking with her co-conspirators. Now, attorney Owen Wells represents all three co-defendants, but it's weird that he put out a statement only referencing Lindsay. Now, the statement he put out says, Lindsay is innocent and the evidence will clearly demonstrate her innocence. It's strange that he didn't say Lindsay, Terrence, and Farron are innocent. He wrote, she continues to face the legal process with complete transparency and honesty. Now, once again, only mentioning Lindsay, he said, Lindsay is looking forward to getting this ordeal behind her. And most importantly, she is looking forward to being reunited with her young children, who have been without their mother for many months. He said she has confidence in the integrity of the Bahamian justice system and will continue to cooperate in any way she can. So it's funny, that was his written statement. Court TV reported it. Matt Johnson talked about Lindsay, kind of maybe recognizing him, or Lindsay asking her attorney who this press was. And when her attorney said Court TV, she goes, oh, so that gave her a sense of just how huge this case is. And I hope Court TV is still down there on Wednesday so we can get the lowdown on what happens with Lindsay's bail. Will she be sprung? So that was the statement given to Court TV and other reporters after Lindsay pleaded not guilty to conspiracy to commit murder. I did find it fascinating that the Daily Mail is saying after this trio was arrested July 21st and cops examined Lindsay's iPhone, they reportedly found photos that Lindsay sent directly to Farron, photos of Robert saying kill him. Again, we don't know if this evidence has been produced. I hope they can produce it if it hasn't been produced in court, at least by January 31st, if not definitely by March 4th as the trial begins. What do you think? Do you think Lindsay should be able to leave the Bahamas and see her children? Oh, I could see going either way. I could see many people saying, no, no, no. If there's any truth to this woman allegedly plotting the actual destruction of the boy's father, she doesn't need to be anywhere near him. She needs to stay down there in the Bahamas. I mean, you read some crazy stuff where people really want her under Fox Hill Prison. Some people are way on that side. They are very anti-Lindsay. I mean, we haven't had the trial yet. We haven't had the actual evidence presented. Every person has to have their due process. So some people are way over there saying, no, 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 keep Lindsay in the Bahamas. Find her guilty, and who cares if she's put away for life, keep her away from the boys. I can see that side of it, except you want the person to go through the actual trial first. But I also understand some people are more Lindsay defenders. Some people are believing the notion and claiming through rumors that Robert wasn't necessarily a great husband. And, people wonder if Lindsay had everything, why would she do this? Some people think she just was too bored. She needed excitement. Others are saying, well, Robert was no angel. Lindsay did whatever she did. And I don't know, it's sad. And so they're more on the side of, oh yeah, she probably was just joking. Or some people are really into maybe she's been set up. There's been all this questions about how involved her mother-in-law was, as we saw in body cam footage. There was the weird 911 call that we've heard about suspicious packages of a jump drive with photos of Lindsay on them. There's a lot of weirdness, but I hope all of that prior evidence can be maybe laid out in this case to make more sense, to help us really know what is the truth and what's a lie. Some people want Lindsay locked away, keep her in the Bahamas forever, who cares? Some people are being more compassionate. Let's hear it all out. Let's see where this really goes. Is there really enough evidence to prove there was an actual plot to take Robert away? Is that the truth? Was Lindsay set up? What actually happened here? Either way, I think we've learned it ain't always better in the Bahamas. At least not for Lindsay. The Bahamas are beautiful. I'd love to go back there. I went to Atlantis way back in 1996. It was during October and the surf was so rough, the lifeguard wasn't even going in. I knew if the lifeguard wasn't going in the ocean, neither was I. But it was beautiful back then. Atlantis, Paradise Island. Let's close with Isaiah 25:9. It will be said in that day, indeed, this is our God in whom we have waited, that he would save us. This is the Lord for whom we have waited. Let us shout for joy and rejoice in his salvation. Again, God bless Court TV and any other press that is there. Even though they can't film in the courtroom down there, I'm so grateful they're filming where they can. They're waiting. They're doing what they can to bring us the scoop all the way from the Bahamas. The weather was nice, Matt said, so I'm sure a lot of people wanted to do that assignment. But I'm glad we still have some mainstream media willing to fly over there and get the scoop. And hopefully they'll stay for this week so we'll get more of the scoop and see what happens with the case of Lindsay Shiver. And stay tuned for those updates and many more cases that I'm researching always. Take care.